Oh, look what else! It's a ram's horn shofar. So the other one is a kadu, or an antelope. That's the long swirly one. This is a ram's horn, has a single curve, and that means something. So I already tried blowing it, and it was a disaster because I didn't read the instructions. And this one's designed to go in the corner of your mouth. And they say the right side, but I'm much better on the left. I don't know. I hope that's not anything bad. I hope I'm not being kosher. I hope I'm not being kosher. Is that right? Kind of sounds like a barking seal, huh? Or. Sorry about that.
It sounds like an animal's dying.
I'm sorry, I'm killing a seal.
Jeez.
He'll be dead soon. Okay, so there's, oh man, I should have looked these up. One's a Teruah, and there's a Tekiah, and then there's another one, and then there's the Tekiah Haggadah. That's the long one. The hardest one is one where you blow 9 in a row. I don't know how to do it. I sound terrible. Sound like a guy with gas. But it's supposed to be. So I'll figure that out. Hey, we're learning together, right? One thing I learned, blow from the diaphragm instead of your lungs. And don't puff out your cheeks. And firm your upper lip. So firm upper lip, loose lower lip. Blow a little hole out of the side of your mouth. Suck, put the air in your belly. Wet your lips. Man, you hear all those beautiful ones on the internet and then it's like, sounds like a dead cow. Okay, so anyways, I'm practicing, and without further ado, we take you to Mr. Bones on the ground at Rapture Balloon Central. Hello? Are we on? Are we on? Yes? Okay. Hello, this is Mr. Bones at Rapture Balloon Central, and we have so much movement that we have to rearrange our camera. So here comes Rapture Balloon. Okay, I'm literally having to hold the Rapture Balloon up because Rapture Balloon is dropping fast. Our day is coming, so we're going to let her go, and here it goes. Rapture Balloon update. Oh my. I'm going to take you to my associate on the ground, literally, Sally, everyone.
Hi everyone, this is Sally. Remember me? I'm here on the ground, literally, reporting for Rapture Balloon Central. And as you can see, Rapture Balloon has rested comfortably on the ground. And this is a very big milestone for us. And we're going to keep watch. And we think very soon Rapture Balloon's gonna give up the ghost. Anyone? You know, like Breath of Life? Okay then. This is Tribulation St. Sally reporting from Rapture Balloon Central with Mr. Bones' legs. Mr. Bones, you're in serious need of a pedicure, and your feet smell like death.
Hey now!
This is Tribulation St. Sally reporting from Rapture Balloon Central. Thank you, and come again.
Okay, are you being awakened? Are you sounding the shofar? Are you turning back to Elohim and turning back to Torah? We interrupt this Esther study, this Esther representation of our rapture story, to remind you of some of the critical things that have led this whole story. Okay, back from the times when we first started to look, we were looking at what the Word of God said about His return and His snatching us away, the rapture, the hapazo of His bride. He will take her before the tribulation. I will keep you from the hour of tribulation. I will take you to me as a people. And the Hebrew wedding ceremony is a 7. And so He will take us up there for a 7. And we're all up there ahead of time before He opens that first seal. So I know a lot of people have said, we're in the tribulation. Truly, if this was the tribulation, you'd say, hey, not that bad, right? No, when it starts, there will be no mistake about it. We've already focused on as in the days of Noah, but remember, as Jesus said, as in the days of Lot. For in the same day that Lot and his family left, fire and brimstone reigned. And we remember my favorite psalm, Psalm 18, and he says, I cried out to Him in distress, because the sorrows of hell compass me. The sorrows of death compass me. And I cried in my distress. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations were shaken. Hailstones and coals of fire He sent from above. He took me. He drew me out of many waters. All of it happening at the same time. So, what is the great and terrible day? We're putting our focus on Rosh Hashanah. Okay? Now, I will. Like I said from the beginning, we're going to acknowledge this Feast of Oil, this completion, which may coincide with Rosh Hashanah, which we now will see if I am able to upload this on Friday, I forget the date, 28th of August, then we should be 22 days away from what I believe the first day of Feast of Trumpets will be the 19th. September 19th. So I think it says 18th on the internet, and 18th starts and the 19th starts and everything bleeds together. That's why nobody knows the day or the hour, right? I mean, everybody's calling multiple days the same day. But we're looking for that Rosh Hashanah. And I want to show you, I'm going to show you a quick timeline before we show you that same timeline in the book of Esther. So, let me just erase this. And this timeline fits exactly with our original timeline. Again, if we go back to so many props. Okay. Pastor Sandy was the first guy that I ever heard teach about this, and it is absolutely spot on prophecy. And I believe every story has more meaning, but I believe some stories have specific meaning for the actual timelines that we will follow. And the story in 2 Samuel about David, the true king, the beloved, being anointed over Judah, which means praise, and he was king over them for, specifically, it says 7 years and 6 months. That's very specific. He says 7 years and 6 months. And at the same time, the rest of Israel, not from Judah, the name that means praise, the rest of Israel was under the rule of Ishbosheth, which means man of shame, or the representation of the Antichrist. Ishbosheth, man of shame or man of deceit. So we are going to follow that pattern. Now, I took Pastor Sandy's study to heart, and I went looking for other examples, and I found in 2 Samuel 5 that David lived 70 years plus that 6 month, another typology. Solomon building the temple of God. We are the temple of God, and it took 7 years and 6 months. So that's another typology, that the tribulation will be a period of 7 years and 6 months under Jesus before he is 7 years or before he's king over all of Israel and all of the world. And then in the book of Esther, there's a couple examples in Ezra, and so you can look those up on your own. But because of those prophecies, I knew in my heart, I felt convicted in my spirit, the tribulation will be longer than 7 years. And it made sense to me. So I thought we had some time before, and I knew there was time after, because I know we come back on Day of Atonement, and then there's the prophecy of the 1,335 days. Well, that's adding another 2.5 months. Well, from Day of Atonement, add 2.5 months, brings you right to Hanukkah. And the first two temples were dedicated on Hanukkah. So it would make sense that the third temple would be dedicated on Hanukkah and that the Lord's true temple would be dedicated on Hanukkah, right? So we now have moved past this, obviously, and we're getting dangerously close to Tribulation, Feast of Trumpets, September 18, 19, 20. So again, look, there's a couple of numbers that the Lord gave us in His Word. He said there's going to be 1,260 days. There's going to be 1,290 days. There's going to be 1,335 days. Well, when I found out that there is 1,260 days in between a Passover and a Feast of Trumpets, I was like, of course He's going to use that. And there's a 1,335 between a Passover and a Hanukkah, or from a Pentecost to a Feast of Trumpets. When you see that these numbers fit exactly with God's feasts, not the Jews. They were the Lord's feasts that He shared with the Jews, but more importantly, the name for the feast was Appointment with Mankind. So God's appointments with mankind fit with the 1290, 1260, and 1335 away from each other. So are we being kind of silly by not even like realizing this way ahead of time? And that's why Paul said, I would not have you ignorant, brethren. You're not in darkness. I have no need to tell you this because you perfectly know, right? Because we have the schedule. We have God's calendar. So all we have to do to make this fit perfectly, again, remove the 105 days that I thought beforehand and put it at the end. So here's what's going to happen. Rapture and the start of tribulation at Feast of Trumpets. Those 2 days, maybe the 17th, maybe the 18th, the 19th, or the 20th. I'm not sure. I'm not positive about that. I don't know the day of the hour, right? Are you happy? No, we don't know, right? And then the Jews have been practicing for thousands of years to enter into the 7 days of awe. The 7 days of awe is a prophecy of what will turn into the 7 years of awe. Just like on the third day He will rise, and it has been 3 years, so He turned those days into years. So our 7 days of awe will turn into the 7 years of tribulation, and we'll come back exactly on the Day of Atonement. So we know that we come back on the Day of Atonement. We know the 7-year period. We know the 1260 and the 1290. We just got to fit these pieces together. And it's not that difficult because they only fit together a certain number of ways. Now, take that 105 days because we know that David, our Jesus, is going to be king over praise, the Christians, for 7 years and 6 months. So that's why I held so tightly to this period of time that we had to be raptured before the tribulation started. Because I knew we had 75 days after. Watch this. You're going to love this. You're absolutely going to love this. Okay, so rapture and tribulation on the Feast of Trumpets. 1,290 days brings us to Passover. That's when Antichrist goes into the temple, crowns himself king. The 2 witnesses are killed. They lay in the street for 3.5 days. Sound familiar? They're resurrected. They come up. There's going to be a mid-tribulation rapture of some people. I don't know who, but some people are going to go with those 2 witnesses. Then we go 1,260 days to the Day of Atonement. So there's your 1,290 and 1,260. Perfect. Fits right on Day of Atonement. Then, blessed is he that comes 1335. That's 2.5 extra months. Brings us right to Hanukkah. The Lord's going to bring down the temple. But guess what? I thought at that point, when He brought down the temple, then He would be king of the Jews. No. They inaugurate a king. They coronate a king. They anoint a king either at Feast of Trumpets or at Nisan, the first month. Just like the President of the United States, the election is sometime before November, right? But when does he take office? In the first month of the American calendar, which would be January, right? So the same thing with our king. So we're going to come back down with him. He's going to bring all his sheaves, the praise, the Judah. He's still king over us. It has been 7 years and a couple of months, but he's still going to be king over us. The temple comes down. He's still king over us. Add that 105 to here, brings us right to Nisan. Don't you love it? I told you you would love it. And then at Nisan, he will be coronated king over all the Jews. Now, we've been doing some business here. We've been smoting. We've been leveling the ground. We've been prepping the world, right? But he didn't come down and instantly become king of Israel. He came down with a mighty, powerful arm, smoting and smiting and leveling and destroying. Remember, that's the king they wanted. So that's how he returns. Then it's going to take a period of time. So in total, our Jesus, our David, will be king over praise, Christians, for 7 years and 6 months. And in the month of Nisan, so add that 105 over here, in the month of Nisan, then he will be crowned true king over the world and over Israel, just like it was in the book of Samuel. So, let me show you that real quick another way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's this 8, Dr. Barry? You'll see. Okay, so 1 full year, 2 full years, 3 full years, 4 full years, 5, 6, 7 and a half. I gotta speed this up. You back with me? Okay, so we got from the Feast of Trumpets, the 7th month, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. That's Nisan. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 1 full year. Ends with Elul 29. Just like we might be ending with Elul 29 this year and bring us to the Feast of Trumpets, the first day of the 7th month. First and second, because it's a 2-day feast, right? Okay, so rapture. Wrap. Great and terrible day. Go 1 full year, 2 full years, 3 full years, 4th year halfway through. There's your 1260 and 1290. Now I can explain the 1290 very easily. If you're following the Hebrew calendar using the Gregorian date overlap, every few years, I think it's 6, sometimes it's 3, they add an extra month. There's your extra month. Okay? So, 3 years is 1,080 days. 6 months is 180 days. 18 from both of these is the 18th letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Tzadi, and it looks like a man praying. It came from an ancient pictograph of a fishing hook. It has tons of rapture symbolism, okay? It also has the gematria value of 90, which means judgment. So that fits perfectly, but we all know what a 180 is. You're going along, you do a 180. You turn back to God. So your 360, everybody knows 360 degrees is a full circle. Come all the way around, back to God. And a 180 is turn back to God. And 1080 is turn back to God. I mean, it's just like, turn back to God, all right, will you? Okay, so this is Nisan, mid-trib, and what will they do? They will coronate the abomination that makes desolate. He'll kill the 2 witnesses. There'll be a rapture. Possibly the 1335 added here, bringing us to the Shavuot, because it fits perfectly. That might be our Shavuot fulfillment of rapture for the Jews. Maybe, but okay. Now from here, we're going to do again our full 3 years. So here's a half a year, 6 month, 180. Then a full year and a full year and a full year. That brings us to the end of the 7. And we return 10 days into this 8th year. There's a 10 and an 8 for an 18. On Day of Atonement. Then, blessed is he, it comes to 1335. Add 2.5 months to that, brings you to the 9th month, 24th day of the 9th month. Hanukkah. The heavenly temple comes down from heavenly Jerusalem down upon the earth. But Jesus is not inaugurated king yet. Then we add the rest of the time period to bring us to Nisan, and abomination becomes coronation at Nisan. that's my story. I've been sticking with it. We changed this one little bit, but I feel very strongly that this story being so specific, this is in 2 Samuel 2, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, talking about David being elected and coronated the king over just that one group, Judah, which means praise. So I give all credit to Pastor Sandy for finding that and identifying that. Now, since he has some other brilliant teachers like Pastor James Smith and Pastor Michael Pearl, and now I'm not sure if Michael got it from Pastor Sandy like the rest of us did, but Michael Pearl's a pretty sharp cookie. I think you would agree that he knows what he's talking about. So again, these stories must be fulfilled. And in the book of Esther, we're going to see a 3-year reign of King Ahasuerus, and then a 6-month party, and then a 7-day feast. And then he talks about the 7 years and 10 months, the queen coming into the temple. That brings us back to Hanukkah. Hanukkah goes from the 24th day of the 9th month to the first day of the 10th month. That was in the story of Noah also, first day of the 10th month. Interesting, right? Okay, so those overlap. And then we're going to talk about this more in my next video, but the story of Esther also includes the 12th year, the 13th year, and the 13th year from the 1st month all the way to the 12th month. So that's like a 14-year warning, a 14-year warning, like a 14-year warning. Did I say that enough times? Like a 14-year warning, like the story of Joseph. Okay, again, for me, I read a story in the Bible, it's got a timeline. I'm like, okay, how is Jesus going to fulfill this timeline in the future? Because the great wisdom of Solomon, he was known as the preacher. Of course, he represents Jesus Christ. His wisdom was of Jesus Christ. And he said, there's nothing new under the sun. That which has been done, that which has been written, whatever was written of the king must be done, couldn't be changed. That which has been done will be done again. So when I see Joseph has a dream, 7 good years, that's what we've been in, collecting double portion, storing it up, and then 7 bad years of famine. There's not going to be no 3.5, no 4, no 6, no 12, whatever. It's going to be your 7 years. And he's going to take his bride into the temple beforehand. He's going to save her and bring her to the palace. And that's where we're about to go. So again, I am fully aware of our Feast of Oil, which, listen to this, by some of my calculations, from Passover to what is projected Feast of Oil might be September 11th, might be 9/11, which we believe, as Pastor Revelation 12 guy Paul, I call him Revelation 12 guy. I'm not sure if he's a pastor, but he has great evidence, sun, moon, and stars documents and everything, that Jesus' birth was September 11th, 3 BC, which we agree with that. So September 11th might be the Feast of Oil, and it's 7 days before Feast of Trumpets. There's your 7 days of the ark. So I'm not against it. I would be more than happy to be wrong about the Feast of Trumpets and go 7 days early, right? But Feast of Trumpets and the last trump and all the meanings of the trumpets and the whole thing about confusing Satan, it's just so delicious. So I'll keep my eyes open on September 11th. I think you should too. I will put out another video explaining more about that. But Feast of Trumpets, we can go on the first day, the second day. We can go on the first day of awe. We could go on the Day of Atonement. Having it rain down on Day of Atonement would be perfect too. But not only that, 5 days later, on the 15th, on the new moon, the full moon, not the new moon, on the full moon, on the 15th day of the 7th month, starts Tabernacles. And we could be raptured that day and stay with him for 7. Remember, it's for 7 days, but he says, I just want you to stay one more day. Makes it into the 8th day. That fits with this. So, look, we're going. We all know we're going. They're bringing the vaccine. They're shutting down the governments. They're making the peace plan. It's all set so beautifully. The timelines are perfect. From our warnings, we've had our 4-year delay that it wasn't really a delay. It was preordained, but we were looking ahead, a year ahead of time before the Revelation 12 sign. The sign came. We had our perfect 3-year waiting, just like the 3 BC before Jesus called the year 0, and the 3 years when they came out of World War II, and the 3 years till they went back into the land, and the 3 years from the year of the Jubilee until the fruit was acceptable and the trees were acceptable. So everything fits so beautiful. I just had to come on and maybe I blabbed a little bit, but we'll end with a trumpet. Oh my goodness. Wounded duck. Father, forgive me. I'm trying. Give me supernatural help. Love you. I'll see you soon.